In 7 years, I went from debilitating seizures to calisthenics. So how did I heal in 7 years from what some people never heal from in an entire lifetime? The answer might surprise you. And the answer is why and how and what I developed for Whole Self Wellness. So I'm Cami. I'm the founder of Whole Self Wellness, and the most common question I get is how? How in the world did I do it? How? And I get this question at the bank. And I get this question from doctors. And I get this question from mental health professionals. And I get this question literally everywhere I go. How? How did I do that? 7 years ago, there was no hope at times. 7 years ago, I wondered if there would ever be answers, or if what I was experiencing actually would be something that I would die from. Because it racked my body, and I was left locked inside with no control. And I couldn't get myself out of bed, and I couldn't even get myself up off the couch. And I remember a very particular moment where I realized that I had been going to people with letters after their name and saying, where are the magic pills? And can you just find the answers? And can you just heal me? And I was looking to them for hope, and they didn't have any answers. And I realized that I had answers. I just didn't have all of them. And I had agency, and I could make choices, and I could do things. And I started researching. And I kept researching. And I kept researching. And I would research and find something and apply it. And then I would research again and apply it again. And this process got me to the point where I happened my way into a medical modality that I didn't know. I didn't even have the language for it for years, but this medical modality was coined back in the 70s, and it is attributed to George Engel, and it is called the biopsychosocial spiritual model. Let me just back that one up for you. Because a lot of terms are used synonymously. So you could really say holistic. You could say whole person. There's a lot of terms you could use. I choose whole person. And so this modality really talks about your whole person. It talks about your whole self, which is the name that I chose, right? But there are actually studies now that are showing that there are 4 parts of your whole self. Now, when you get into the nerdy stuff of epigenetics, and they really start to break it down into many categories, but really it boils down to 4. And that's why I love this modality, this whole person modality so much, is because any of those complicated things can actually fit into a process that's very, very, very simple. Anybody can learn this and understand this and begin to apply this. And those parts of your whole self are your mind, which is, your physical mind, your actual brain, and your mental health, and your body, so your physical health, and your relationships. And yeah, they're doing cool brain scans to prove how relationships affect your body and your brain, which is just so cool. And then your spirit. And at Whole Self Wellness, it's important to tell you, we talk about spirit in a lens that is a world view lens. It is non-denominational. Whatever your ideology is, whatever your understanding is, we meet you there. Because it's not about us, it's about you. And that day when I had that seizure, that's exactly what I discovered. That it was about me. It was about my hope. It was about my dreams. And nobody wanted to see me feeling good better than me. And I realized that while there was a lot that I couldn't control, and there's a lot of discussion about, well, we don't control all these things out here. You're right, we don't. But I do control me. And what they found is that I can directly and indirectly affect things that I don't think I have control over by controlling what I do. And there's overlap with our diet and our mental health and our mental health and the chemicals our brain produces. And all of that affects our immune system and our relationships. Feeling safe and connected helps us not experience pain even in the same way, changes the chemicals our brain produces. It's phenomenal what they're finding. And what they're finding is that these 4 things increase health outcomes. And you can move the needle in these 4 things. Really cool. Really cool. And so with the question that I get all the time, which is how, there's a secondary question that I frequently get, which is, how can you teach other people to do it? This is how and why whole self-wellness was developed, because I spent years digging and wondering and feeling hopeless, and I don't ever want anybody else to have to struggle that hard. So I really just gathered the best information I could find, and I developed it into a program, and I made it something that you can understand and you can access and you can practice and move through the process of self-care in these 4 areas. So what's really cool is it works much like compound interest at the bank, where it looks like it grows slowly at first and then boom, exponential. Really cool what you can do, which is how I went in 7 years from here to here. I didn't all of a sudden end up here. I began here and I built momentum in those 4 areas, and this program meets you where you are and shows you how to take the steps that lead you where you ultimately want to be. Not where we think you should be, not what we think you should decide for yourself, but what you've decided for yourself and how you work those goals out with your medical and mental health professionals. This is intended to pair with that and teach you self-care and teach you regulation and teach you all of the big words that, who cares? If it works, right? But nervous system regulation, emotion regulation, you name it. We even incorporated neurological stacking and basic active rest cycles into this program. So there's a lot of nerdiness here, but we're not going to use a lot of that language unless requested by you, because access matters. And I want you to feel like you can just jump in and dive in and begin taking action. So the technical nitty-gritties of what this program does: we have reverse engineered fractals of whole health based on the medical modality of biopsychosocial spiritual or holistic whole person. There's the technical stuff. I call it the jelly-filled donut of wellness. But, yeah, strike that from the record. Anyway, so there is hope, and there is joy, and it is okay to be where you are, because you don't have to stay there. Book a call with our coaches. Come see how we can help you, because we will begin working and walking alongside you as you build momentum in these 4 areas of your whole health. And you'll be surprised how good it feels when you take your empowerment back.